A.K.A. Sleeve Rogers.
Sleeve Rogers. Hey, Sleeve Rogers' graduation is here in June, by the way.
I'm going to get crunk, too.
No.
And turned.
You can't get turned.
I'm getting crunk and turned all in the same night.
I don't know what those terms mean.
Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. Critically harsh reviews with a touch of class.
Go.
All right. Welcome back to part 2 of our top 10 here at BoardGameSnobs.com.
Hey, we still got that?
Sort of. Follow us on the Twitter, the Facebook,
No.
the LinkedIn, but mainly the Instagram.
That's what I'm talking about.
Or go to our guild.
We want to break 1,000.
We have broke 1,000.
1K.
We have broke 1K.
We did?
We did.
You didn't post that we broke 1,000 on our posts?
I don't do that type of thing. I might. No, we're not doing that because that's very cliche.
It's incestual.
What? Incestual?
Yeah, to post about our post. It's a post.
Sorry. Sorry.
Come on.
My mind was in the gutter.
As usual.
Incest.
Well, that's where it comes from, but it's just like,
Is that where that comes from?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, quick question.
Go ahead. I have a quick answer.
Do you know Will Wheaton?
Not personally. I'm saying a lot. There's a lot of things I'm not going to say about Will Wheaton.
You know, he's like, many people say he's critical to board gaming.
He's critical to what?
Board gaming. Like board gaming, getting board gaming out there. Tabletop. You've never watched a tabletop on YouTube. Come on, be honest.
One time, yeah.
There you go. Appreciate your honesty.
I was not.
I appreciate your honesty. What did they play when you watched?
X-Wing, and they played it wrong, and he blamed his producers for teaching it wrong.
So
go ahead.
So you're not a fan of Will?
No, I'm not saying I'm not a fan. I just
I watched several episodes of Tabletop.
Okay,
Will.
go ahead. We're very
when I first got into gaming, I watched Dice Tower. I watched Will Wheaton on Tabletop.
Okay.
I looked up his net worth. Now, remember, this is Wesley Crusher.
This is of the Next Generation fame from season 1 to 4.
From Stand By Me, a classic 80s film.
Which he probably got $20 to play in.
This is also the guy from Tabletop.
Which is a YouTube show.
He's on lots of stuff on the internet.
Yes.
He goes to lots of Comic-Cons.
Okay. If
not all of them.
Well, that's impressive.
Guess his net worth.
He's a billionaire because he sold all of his shoes that he wore during Next Generation to people, and they bought it. I don't know.
Pump up Nikes from
Back to the Future. Back to the Future. I don't know what.
Come, give me a reasonable guess.
$100 million.
Oh my God, 500,000.
Now, when you say his net worth, that is his current.
There's a celebrity net worth. Now, I keep wanting to say albeit, but that's the term. I mean, I guess you could say albeit it's not necessarily correct, but it seems to be pretty close. That's like the standard most people go by. Wesley Crusher.
He wasn't
$500,000.
He wasn't banking it on the Next Generation.
Well, he squandered it somewhere.
He was no Michael Dorn.
Well, Brent, Michael Dorn. Let me look up his net worth right here. Michael Dorn, celebrity net worth $4 million.
Well, okay.
Do you have $4 million? Michael Dorn does.
Here's the thing with Michael Dorn, though. Are you ready for Michael Dorn? Let me tell you what Michael Dorn.
He's wearing some snazzy hats in these pictures.
Number one, Michael Dorn was in all of the seasons of Next Generation,
That's true.
Then when they desperately needed him on Deep Space Nine, he went back. And then he was in all the movies, so he got some cash for all the movies.
Yeah.
And then he did voice acting. Michael Dorn has done a lot of different voice acting.
Wesley Crusher. Will Wheaton reads lots of books on Audible, and he does a good job.
You could do that for free. I could read a book on Audible. I'm sure he gets
paid.
Who wants to hear Wesley Crusher?
He does good. When I listened to, what's that movie with all the super 80s references that came out last year?
Player One.
Very good. I'm glad you knew that.
Wow.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One.
Wesley Crusher read that book to me. As I lay in bed, I heard his voice. I was like, 500,000? That's like, I expected at least $1 million.
How much money do you think it's worth to read a book into a microphone?
I don't know, but I'll take it. Whatever it is. If it'll give me $500,000, to me, a lot of money. To a TV actor since his youth.
He's not a TV actor since his youth. He didn't make a lot of money.
He made a movie, Stand By Me, is like an 80s classic.
All right, first off, let me...
All them dudes with him. O'Donnell? Who was the other dude?
Who's an actual actor? Are
you saying Wesley Crusher's not actual?
I'm going on record.
Let me see who
that.
else. Okay, Jerry Ryan, just FYI, $30 million.
The Borg lady?
Yes.
Yeah. But she's related to somebody. She's related to Mr. Ryan, who is a producer or director or something of that nature, isn't he?
Know.
But let me just lay down some knowledge on you, Mr.
Chris O'Donnell is not who I was looking for.
Mr. Cinephile.
Chris O'Donnell.
He's raking in on that CSI.
He's the Robin guy.
CSI.
What's that guy's name?
That's Chris O'Donnell.
No, the kid from Stand By Me.
I don't know.
He was that fat kid, but now he's skinny and like good looking.
Don't know. Here's one for you. As a cinephile, you should know this.
Okay.
If you're an actor and you're unionized for movies, like they only pay you very little money, like $50,000.
Jerry
maybe.
O'Connell.
Jerry O'Connell.
Not Chris O'Donnell.
So like $50,000 plus your agent plus all that, you're not making a lot of money.
Especially for kids.
Being an actor, especially like the lead actors on like Law and Order are only making like $200,000 a year, not an episode.
I know, but
and so Wesley Crusher, back in 89, 90.
Chris O'Donnell worth $25 million. Where did he go right and Wesley went wrong?
Wesley hasn't been in anything.
No, Chris O'Donnell did Sliders. Okay, Wesley Crusher did Star Trek. Star Trek is way bigger than Sliders.
He wasn't in Star Trek, but for a few seasons, and he wasn't a critical character. Jerry was a critical character in Sliders. There you go. Plus, there's syndication. I'm just saying that Wesley. I'm not saying Wesley.
But he's also at every Comic-Con. He's made.
So what?
He's in Big Bang Theory.
Oh, please.
For like 3 episodes.
They probably paid him. They got him a room at the La Quinta and a rent-a-car and let him show up. I was just
surprised to see Will Wheaton had not as much money as I would have thought he had.
Well, why don't you start a GoFundMe for your friend
He's got
Will?
More than I do.
Mr. Wheaton, because we're so
What's
sad.
my net worth?
What is your net worth? Plus, that's his net worth. That's how much cash he has now in his assets. It's not how much he makes a year
what he's got in his wallet.
Yeah, so you don't know what Will's got going on. Will's banking.
Nice. Let me say. Okay, the other girl that I can think of is the Geek and Sundry girl.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Felicia...
Look at you knowing stuff.
I know. Well, you talk all the time, and sometimes I do. Felicia Day.
Felicia Day. Let me see what her net worth is.
I don't know. Her net worth is probably not that much. She's just...
I wonder how often she deals with Bye Felicia.
Bye Felicia? Who started that?
That was Off Friday, the movie.
Oh, that's right.
Felicia Day's net worth, $1 million.
Okay, so she has more money than Will.
She got twice as much money as Will.
Let me say this.
She has created all of that Geek and Sundry stuff.
But she's 4 times more important than Will to the board gaming community.
I would think that would be... There is lots of board gaming stuff on Geek and Sundry.
How much is Tom Bass?
Critical Role podcast.
Huh?
That Critical Role podcast?
What about it?
You just refuse to acknowledge any other podcast.
I don't know who you speak of. Only other podcasts I listen to is Mike Rowe.
Okay, Tom Bassel, net worth.
How it was? Who? Who are you talking about?
I know he's worth at least $200,000.
Mike, why are we? What this podcast is about board games.
He doesn't pull up on net worth.
Board games and other things. Right now, we've been focused on the other things. I'd like to move on to the board games if you don't mind.
We
thank you for entertaining.
Is there any pressing board game news that we need to acknowledge?
I hear that.
This is what I hear.
This is what I hear.
Let me look around real quick, make sure nobody's listening.
Don't tell anybody. But I hear. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Wingspan. It's getting a reprint.
Wait, what'd you say?
Wingspan's getting a reprint.
Oh my God.
My number 5, where we left off last week, just to give you a heads up. Last week.
Do a recap real quick.
My number 10 was Barony. My number 9 was Modern Art. My number 8 was Viticulture. My number 7 was Lords of Vegas. My number 6 was Godfather. Gabi, what was yours?
My number 10 was Brass, Birmingham. My number 9, High Society. Number 8, Mombasa. Number 7, Barony. Number 6, Anachrony.
I like them all. My number 5 last year, and I say this
So our only crossover. Did we have any crossover? We had no crossover. Barony. That was our only crossover.
last year, my number 5 was a game called Viticulture. Viticulture fell to number 8 this year. Not that it's a great game. Number 8's it's great. Viticulture is an excellent game. My number 5 this year is new to my list. It is
Wingspan, an excellent game.
Number 5 is a game that I poo-hawed. Is that a term that you use all the time?
Hoo-ha?
Poo-haw?
Pooed.
Pooed?
Poo-pooed.
I don't know. I hate that term. It sounds stupid. I did not like it.
If it's a game you poo-pooed, it should be your number 2.
You liked it. You bought it. You talked about it. I took it home and learnt it and then declared what an excellent game it is. I like it 2-player.
I'm curious.
Yokohama.
What?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Yokohama.
Wow.
Here's why I like Yokohama.
New to your list.
New to my list. Yokohama, I don't like it with more players. I like it with just 2 players.
Have you played it more than 2-player?
Yes, I did it one time. I set up a dummy player.
How dare you.
And I didn't like it. Yokohama, it is a game of, it is worker placement. You're setting out your assistants in these little areas, but the more assistants you have in the area when you take that action, the more powerful the action is. You're collecting certain resources to fulfill orders. You're collecting certain resources to run you up on these tracks. It's very themeless, but it's very entertaining, and you have to think so far ahead in what you're doing, and there are multiple paths to victory. That's what sold me on it. It's very tight with the scoring, multiple paths to victory. Please check it out if you are a Euro gamer.
What about Yokohama Duel?
I wasn't too interested in it.
Is that a Kickstart?
It is a Kickstarter. It was the 2-player version of Yokohama. I really think that Yokohama as a whole is better just 2-player, maybe 3-player. But Yokohama. Yokohama's my number 5. Love it.
2 to 4-player by Tasty Minstrel. 7.9 on BGG. Designer Hisashi Hayashi.
I like Hisashi Hayashi. That's the only game I know he's made.
And yeah, I concur with you. I almost put Yokohama on my list. I love it as well.
Your number 5 last year.
Oh, so you're moving on. Okay.
It was TI4, which I think last year I
TI4.
gave you.
Let's discuss TI4. TI4, we played one time.
Yes, that's all. That's okay. So your number.
We wanted to play it again,
but we didn't get a chance to.
And we tried very hard to. But TI4 is so difficult.
We have lives.
It's so difficult.
I have time.
So TI4 fell off my list.
Wow. So what is it now?
That may have been a victim of TI4. Was for me. I was like, oh, we just played it. I love this game. It was awesome. But we haven't played it since, and I've tried to be more reasonable since.
What's your number 5 now, sir?
My number 5 now, another game I have not played in a while, but I do remember my love and passion for this game, and it is one of the most fun or funnest, however you want to use that term.
Okay.
X-Wing.
X-Wing was your number 3 last year.
Yes.
It's come up. It's all the Star Wars fervor what got you going?
3 to 5.
All right, I'm going to say this right now. X-Wing, probably one of the most accessible miniature games out there. Base game is pretty cheap. You can buy it, try it out, go down the rabbit hole, spend as much money as you want on it. It is a pain to set up.
It's very difficult to set up.
There's a second edition out that has an app. I bought all the upgrade stuff. It is it's a chunk of money to end up staying in this game.
It's dropped a few spots.
I like X-Wing.
Once we start playing, it is one of the most fun games I play. It's just dice rolling, fighting, dog fighting, shooting, blasting. You got Han Solo versus whoever. I love X-Wing, and I still to this day remember how much I love this game and how exciting it is. So therefore, its influence is still felt in my top 10. And it's one of the more different games in my top 10. I have leaned heavily towards Euros.
Euro.
This is a American Trash?
It's a dice chucking game, but there
Dice
is strategy.
chucking?
it's a miniature game, and it's literally it's the only miniature game I like. It's not on my top 10. I like it. I like it a lot.
I love it.
I should like it. I own it.
Yeah, you got lots of stuff for it,
got
too.
lots of stuff for it. That's X-Wing Miniatures. What's your thoughts on The Mandalorian?
Oh, very good. I listened to a podcast called Slash Film. They discuss things in great detail. They're like in the business. And there is, they just had the Disney had their like big, where they like,
Their event.
yeah, their event. They showed The Mandalorian, and if you go on YouTube, you can see like where somebody like shot something from their phone.
I watched it.
They say it's very cinematic, especially for a TV show, even more so than like Netflix or anything else. They're like, this looks like a movie made into a TV series. And the action is great. The story's great. It's got the guy from apparently Game of Thrones, Pablo.
Is that the guy?
The guy that apparently, I was just listening to this podcast. They said the mountains crushed his head. Spoiler alert.
I don't know. Go ahead.
He's the Mandalorian.
So he's flat-headed, though.
Well, I mean, that's just in the Game of Thrones. The real actor's still got his full head.
Okay.
But he's the Mandalorian. Apparently, it is looking really good from Jon Favreau. And apparently, lots of directors have had their input in like all the different series. Looks really, really good.
Well, it needs it because Skywalker's not looking that great to me.
Wait, what?
What?
Rise of Skywalker?
Nah.
Okay. Do you think,
not
this is a
feeling it.
question, Rise of Skywalker,
Yeah.
the rise of Skywalker, not the rise of a Skywalker, not the rise of the Skywalker. I have heard, and this makes sense to me,
No, here's the deal. I'll stop you right
the
there.
rise of Skywalker could be a new Jedi religion.
Well, if I dislike Star Wars lore. Somebody
How can you dislike Star Wars lore?
because there's people that write books and fan fiction.
Yes, and they're
it's
awesome books.
Some of them are out there. Some of them are good. Some of them are canon. Are you ready for this? Somebody can somebody can write in and correct me, but Skywalkers back in the day were children that were able to navigate certain areas of space because of their abilities, like through their force sensitivities, and that's where the term or the name Skywalker came from. I don't know.
I've never heard that before.
Well, you got to be into Star Wars. I guess you're not. You're too busy. You're too busy looking up Will Wheaton's.
Whatever.
net
I
worth.
have read many a EU book, and I've never heard
Well,
that.
why don't you get on it?
Did you read the Timothy Zahn trilogy?
the Timothy Zahn? Mm-hmm. No.
Heir to the Empire?
No.
Okay, whatever.
Whatever. Anyways, your number 5 X-Wing. My number 4 last year was Godfather, and Godfather was my number 6 this year. My number 4, new to the list.
Uh-oh. Wait. Lorenzo.
Boom.
Oh, man!
Yeah. Number 4, Lorenzo El Magnifico. I have not played the expansion. Don't know if it needs it,
I will want it.
but I want it.
But it's out of print.
Lorenzo El Magnifico.
There's one on Kickstarter, apparently, that we missed out on.
Is a worker placement game where you have also engine builder. It's fascinating because you roll these 3 dice. Those dice determine the worth of each player's 3 workers. And then you use those workers and place them in certain areas, certain towers to buy these cards, which are basically either adventures that you send your people on, or property that you're obtaining, buildings and so forth, and you're managing resources while building an engine. The money and the resources are all very tight. Every move you make has to be calculated.
Every move you make.
And it is, it's my favorite Euro, apparently.
It's your favorite Euro.
Almost.
So from here on out, there's
Almost
no Euro.
my favorite
Okay,
Euro.
okay.
Almost my favorite Euro. Because
Making it.
technically these other ones. Lorenzo is probably one of the best Euros to have come out within the past. It was 2017 it was released. I believe. 2018.
I don't know.
Probably one of the best. Love Lorenzo. It was popular for a hot second, went away. Everybody should give it a try. It's somewhat difficult though. It's a thinker.
It is. It reminds me a lot of Brass in
Yes.
that aspect. Like you have to think several steps ahead because whatever is there might not be available
This is true.
in the future.
This is true.
Which can be said a lot of years as.
Number 4 for you last.
My number 4 for last year.
Whitechapel.
Whitechapel.
Which is hide and seek for adults
Love
that
that
don't have
game.
anything better to do.
Love Whitechapel. It's
Is it-
exciting.
Okay. Is
It's
it on your
fun.
list now?
It's not on my list anymore.
It fell off your list? Oh, I love Whitechapel.
I do, but
Not enough.
Not enough. Apparently,
Not enough.
My number 4. This is amazing.
Is it new?
The exact same game as yours,
Lorenzo?
Lorenzo.
We love Lorenzo.
Also, my number 4.
We love Lorenzo. Why do you love Lorenzo?
I love a game that requires me to think ahead. Why? Is thinking ahead my
Obviously not, as you've just demonstrated.
I'm not good at thinking ahead, but I love games that require you to do so, because if you don't think ahead, then you're not going to do well.
No truer statement has ever been uttered.
I mean, it's not completely tactical. It's strategical. So you have to have
Strategical.
You have to. Is that a word?
Just go ahead.
You have to think several steps ahead.
I'm enjoying this.
Lorenzo. So you're going to pick these cards from these several towers that are up top. If you choose those, you have to have what's necessary to pay for it. To get what's necessary to pay for it, you have to get that from the bottom half of the board. In order to do that, it could have used another card from the top that helps you from the. It feeds back and forth very well, and I love that in this game. And it's very smooth. It's very tight. You can't go to the same tower twice without paying a penalty. It's just me and you both love very restrictive games.
Yes, because design as a whole, designing something of that nature is about restriction. It's about doing something within restrictions. Go ahead.
And so, like, these games have come out, like Great Western Legends or whatever that is. Zaya Legends of a Drift System or something. Mm-hmm. They call these sandbox games, where basically you can do whatever you want, however you want, whenever you want. I don't know.
That's called indecisiveness.
And that's what Jerry says. So I'm like, I haven't played. Have we played what you would call a sandbox game?
There's been a few. Defenders of the Last Stand was kind of a sandbox game.
That's more like a big pandemic.
It's like a big pandemic. And then you got like Wasteland Express, which was a pick up and deliver. But they have this. They always have this thing about it's not sandbox. It's more of they do what you want to do within this area. But an actual sandbox game, I don't think we've ever really played too awful much on one of those. No,
we might have to play one, but I like a game where it's very clear what I have to do. If I want this card, I need this. To get that, I have to do this. So then you have to plan out within those terms 3 steps in advance.
correct.
I like that. And it's very difficult. It's very tight. It's tough. Lorenzo's like that. Brass is like that. There's several games like that. It's super simple. You place your dude in a spot and do that action. But within that, where does that come in those stages of what you need to get to those victory points you need? Lorenzo is like that. It's amazing. We love Lorenzo.
From our favorite designers, Simone Luciani.
Simone, moving up on our books.
I love the guy. All right, so last year, getting into our top 3 now.
What are you talking about?
My last year's top 3. My number 3 last year was Barony. Barony was my number 10 this year. So Barony dropped.
Barony's dropped.
Quite a deal.
Would you say that's just because of lack of play?
That, and there's been other games that have just moved up that are just better to me, that provide a different experience, a better experience to me. But Barony's still an excellent game, obviously. My number 3 is new to the list. Anachrony.
Oh,
I think
so. Enrique had
an influence on me. Anachrony, for a Kickstarter game from not a huge publisher, relatively new designers, the same guys that did Tricarion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and Cerebrium.
Anachrony is an excellent worker placement, utilizing different workers restricting the players and their decisions of where they're going out to get resources to build up their little clan that's trying to survive this apocalyptic event. At the same time, it takes the twist of a worker placement of these little things that it does. For instance, you can build these buildings that give you bonuses or let you travel back in time. That's a very neat mechanic to where I can take a benefit now, but later in some other round, I have to be able to send that item back into time, or there's going to be an anomaly. The idea of having various different workers, that some are better at certain things, so you get a bonus if you put this worker here, or some workers can't even go into this spot. But then your workers get tired, so you have to provide them water to either waterboard them or refresh them or whatever it is. Anachrony is the top worker placement on my list.
Oh, really?
It is the top worker placement. Worker placement used to be not one of my...
That's your number 3?
It's my number 3. I love Anachrony.
Especially after you painted.
After I painted, it just went up. It's just one of those...
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, ask me a question. Pitter patter.
Let's get at her. Do components influence your enjoyment of a game?
Yes, but they do not influence their position on this list. Tactically, because that's what we're dealing with when we're playing with a board game, it's the tactile senses. It's moving stuff around, and the irritation that comes from having too many bits and pieces scattered about, or just poor quality can take away. The same is true.
Let's just talk about metal coins. Metal coins.
They add to the game. The same is true when you have a game that has miniatures or various other things that add to the feel of the game.
Do you think you would enjoy Anachrony without those minis?
Yes.
As much?
Yes. I do like the minis. They add to the aesthetics. But the overall experience, what I like about Anachrony is... Now, soapbox coming out here.
Gourd head.
Most people...
Wouldn't be a podcast without your soapbox.
Most people are not going to be that same way. Because most people are going to be caught up in the idea of...
components.
And the components.
Can I say something before you get on your soapbox?
Go ahead.
Before you get on your soapbox, I will back you up on your soapbox, without your soapbox, but for your soapbox.
Okay.
We played Orleans. I bought some upgraded components for Orleans.
Which were terrible.
But it was upgraded components.
They were not upgraded.
The only thing I wanted upgraded, I was thinking about those. Now they have like those plastic discs. They're like thick.
Yeah.
That are your players. Mm-hmm. Kind of want those. But but this is for you. I'm a pro you, so don't attack me just yet.
Because we don't like our Orleans, do we? Go ahead.
So I bought these upgraded components for Orleans from Meeple Source, and there's like, it's the hay, it's the wine, it's the wheat. They look better, but they replaced the little cardboard chits, basically. You hated them. You hated them. I was like, well, Jerry, how are you going to hate my upgrades? Jerry hated them.
It wasn't an upgrade.
Why?
It was a downgrade.
How?
Because the spots on the board where those chits are supposed to go are squared. They covered an area. It was intuitive.
You just lay the hay on there.
You lay the hay on there, but it looked odd. It looked odd. You took a 2D representation of a map that's supposed to have iconology on there, and you replaced it with a 3D model.
Very good. That's very good. What you just said?
Yeah, it was good.
Very good.
Anybody who does user interface.
I can't compliment you and then you say, yeah, it was very good. It was good. You're supposed to be modest.
I'm not modest. You know that by now. If I'm anything, I'm immodest.
I understand that. And there's Yokohama pieces on Top Shelf Gamer that are amazing. It's like a fish and silk and wine and all this other stuff. I really want those.
They're not an upgrade,
but they don't match the spaces.
They don't match the spaces. They don't add to the aesthetics. In Anachrony,
so would you say coins are your number one thing?
Coins are. In Anachrony, the miniatures replace the little discs,
and they fit on those spots.
They add to it. They're all in connection with the
put those little dudes right on top.
That's the best thing is that you put your workers in the actual mechs.
Awesome. Yeah.
Loved it. Somebody thought that out.
Yes.
Somebody thought that out. Somebody designed the mechs. They added it to it. You don't need the mechs to play the game. You don't need the mechs to enjoy this game.
It is freaking awesome if you do.
If you buy Anachrony, I would suggest buy the game, play the base game, enjoy the base game, and when you really like it, then go get the minis.
Okay, question.
Go.
Top Shelf has pieces for Anachrony
What are they?
that replace the cores instead of just the disc.
No.
It's an actual core-like looking piece, 3D piece.
Don't care.
Okay.
Don't care. I don't.
So Top Shelf and Meeple Source do nothing for you.
No, absolutely not.
Other than money. What about if I buy the metal coins for Yokohama?
I've already bought metal coins for Gates of Liu Yang, and trust me, why do you have to buy
I
metal
love
coins,
metal coins.
for every single game?
I love
Buy
it.
one big bag of metal coins and
But
transfer it
these
from
are
game to game.
Yokohama
No, they're
specific.
not. No, they're not. No, they're
Well-
not. You can buy coins that are singular denominations and make them what you want. That is just how they get
But
you.
these
Guppy.
have like Asian symbols on them.
I have but got a bag of coins that have Asian symbols
do?
coming for Gates of Liu Yang that I will use for Gates
Okay,
of Liu
well,
Yang.
bring them.
That I will use for
Bring
just
them,
any
please.
other game.
Okay.
It's pointless. It's
No,
pointless.
I know.
It's pointless.
If you have them for one game,
It's
please
pointless.
bring them for the
it's
next.
pointless. That's my number 3, Yokohama. If you are in, no, Anachrony. I'm sorry, Anachrony is my number 3. I'm sorry, you got me confused. Anachrony, love
Anachrony
Anachrony,
is amazing.
amazing. Number 3 last year.
So we have crossover on that one. Anachrony, my number 6.
Number 3 last year was your X-Wing, which has come down. What is your number 3 now, sir?
A game that has been mentioned. It is Ameritrash. It is gambling. It is fun. It is dice chucking. It has moved up
It wasn't
exponentially
on
on my
your
list.
list at all.
No.
You like Lords of Vegas that
We
much?
have played it recently, and I was like, I cannot deny how fun
No.
this game is.
No, it's
Lords
great.
of Vegas.
Lords of Vegas is awesome. You don't need the expansion. There's an expansion out.
No,
for it.
Jerry bought the expansion. We had it. We played it.
Doesn't
We're
add
like,
nothing to it.
Doesn't really have much
No,
to it.
nah, don't need the expansion. Lords of Vegas is readily available. It is one of the better board games.
It is. Okay.
It's fun.
Board gaming for me and Jerry is fun no matter what we play. If it's brass, if it's super thinking, we're sitting there. We may not even talk that much during the game, but we're thinking, we're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I need to think 3 spaces ahead. Oh, he just messed me out of this, what I'm going to do. And it's just amazing. Lords of Vegas is just pure fun.
It does, yeah.
It's just fun because we have our casinos. You're trying to expand those casinos. You can do that in a number of ways.
It's negotiation.
There's negotiation involved.
Love.
Even if you're bad at negotiation, which I am,
There's betting.
I may have a spot that he desperately needs, so he has to negotiate with me.
It's cutthroat.
I
It's
love
vicious.
Lords of Vegas.
It's random as all get out. But and quite frankly, I know I enjoy this game because I can't tell you who's won it. I don't care if I win or lose. You have a fun
I'll
time.
tell you.
I don't care about that. Nobody cares.
I'll tell you.
But Lords of Vegas is just an awesome experience.
Actually, the last game I won. Oh, remember that influenced my opinion.
It went up. It went up.
I love it. We played it 1, 2, 3. We played a 5-player game of Lords of Vegas.
Yeah, it was a
Is that
mess.
with the expansion?
Yeah, expansion knocks up to 5.
Yeah, and
It was just craziness.
okay, but it's 29, 26, 20, 20, 16. It's
pretty-
very
It
close.
was 16, Enrique.
Actually, it was Mike.
Oh, yeah,
came in
Mike.
last. Lords of Vegas, one of the most fun games you can play.
Number 2 last year for me is a game that is not on my list. I've had a lot of fall off my list. This game was one that I dearly loved. I still dearly love it. It is getting a reprint. I'm not sure that the reprint is necessary. I'm ambivalent about it. It is a Eurogamer's space game. It is Eclipse.
Oh my God!
I loved Eclipse. No, this is on number 2 last year was Eclipse.
Your number 2 is your number 2 this year.
No, it's not.
Wait.
It completely fell off. It completely fell off my list.
Oh wow!
So it went from being number 2.
Your number 2 is 0.
Gone. It's
gone into the ether.
It's not because I don't love it. It's just because
Let me see. Hold on. Go ahead. Talk.
it's
I wanna
just
see if I can
because
guess.
we haven't been able to play it very much. But I still love Eclipse. It's still well respected. It's just not my number 2. It fell off.
Your number 2? Is it? It's not. Is it a worker placement?
No, my last worker placement was an acronym.
Is it 878?
No. My number 2 is going to cause you some dismay.
Oh my gosh! Hold on.
It's going to cause you some irritation.
Is it new from last year?
Nope, it's not.
It's not from last year?
It was on the list last year. My number 2. Are you ready for it?
Go ahead.
Game of Thrones.
Oh.
Game of Thrones was my number 1.
Your number 1 has been usurped already.
It has been usurped. Game of Thrones has been my number 1 game for quite some time. It is an area control.
Before we made our lists.
Before we even made our lists. Is an area control negotiation game. I love negotiation games. Game of Thrones, I'm not a fan. I love Game of Thrones. Never had watched any of the episodes. Don't know nothing about it. It was just a negotiation game that was a medieval theme that you sat down and whoever talked their way into victory was the one who won it. I love the expansion of Feast for Crows that makes the 4-player game reasonable. I have the expansion, the Mother of Dragons expansion that's supposed to add stuff. I haven't played it. We haven't used it, but I got it. It's unfortunately Game of Thrones is a 5-hour experience. Game of Thrones is not a game that I can recommend, though, to people because it is simply very difficult to learn.
Very difficult.
40-page rule book with vast rules and errata on Board Game Geek, and it is a solid negotiation game. And so if you're not in negotiation, you just need to overlook it. But for me, Game of Thrones is an excellent game. I don't recommend it unless you are of that ilk, of that type, that you like to backstab and to negotiate.
Last Game of Thrones we played, I actually hated it worse than I did the first time.
Because you're just not a negotiator.
I am not a negotiator.
But Mike, who had never played it.
That's what irritated me. I like a game, and that's probably Euro-induced. But I like a game where you win on skill.
Negotiation is a skill. Negotiation is the
I understand that. So are you telling me Mike negotiated the best?
He did.
No.
Yes, he did.
He negotiated maybe 2 times that whole time.
No, he positioned himself well.
No.
He allied with me.
No.
And you kept attacking him.
No.
And
he happened to be in a spot where we needed.
I'm not going to argue.
He hardly said anything the whole game.
Sounds like your butt hurt.
No. I'm telling you the facts of this game.
The strongest negotiators sometimes say the least. Which is something.
Okay, well, then you should lose every time.
I know. I said sometimes.
No.
Sometimes.
Mike lost. Mike won that game.
Game of Thrones is my number 2. I can't recommend it to people, though, because of its niche.
I will play it. I will enjoy it, but I hate
last
that
year,
game.
Gobby put a game on his list that's his number 2 that I highly suspect has fallen off and fallen so far off. That he gave me so much grief over that wasn't on my list. Scythe was his number 2 last year.
Scythe does not exist on my list this year.
What? I wonder why.
Let me tell you what happened. I played it again.
You got overwhelmed by the beauty of Scythe and talked about how elegant it was.
I loved Scythe.
And you went around talking about Scythe. Metal coins. Look at the miniatures. Oh, you painted them. And then finally, after months of negotiation of me trying to describe to you that this is not.
Just let me know when you're done.
It's a decent game. It's not great. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt?
Oh, are you done?
I'm done.
About time.
Because you are with Scythe.
I am done with Scythe.
Really?
I'm not done with Scythe. You have done Rise of Skywalker Fenris?
Yes.
I want to play that.
I do too.
Scythe is a wonderful game. It is very impressive. The components are impressive. If you have the Kickstarter version, I'm assuming, I don't know, Jerry has a Kickstarter version. The player boards are impressive. They work very smoothly. It is a very elegant.
How many times are you going to say impressive? I'm glad you
elegant.
Shift gears. Impressive,
very elegant game.
Good.
The player board play is very elegant.
It's just not
but
great.
It was boring.
It's not great.
No,
it's a good
the
game.
last time we played, the first time I played, I was like, oh my God, I've never played a game like this before. The second time we played, I was like, oh my God, these components are so impressive. The third time I played, I was like,
Your opening
The
moves.
fourth time we played, I was like, you know what? These opening moves are very boring.
Yes. The opening moves of the game are virtually the same.
The fifth time I played, I was like, here we go. All right, so let's move these guys out here, move these guys out here. Yeah, it's boring. Okay. And then we battle a little bit. Maybe I'm trying to get those stars out there. It's not exciting.
It's not exciting. Scythe is not exciting. That's not on the box.
It's not exciting.
Very good. Scythe was never in my top 10. It was one that I've always never been hyped about it. I kickstarted it, the original, when it first came out. I enjoy it. It's a decent game. It's a beautiful production. It doesn't deserve to be as high up on the BGG lists. Everybody praises it as being just this most awesome game ever, and it's okay.
No.
It's good.
So that was my last year's number 2.
And it's this
We've
year's-
discussed that long enough.
Oh, so you have a number 2 this
It's
year?
not even on my list for this
So what
year.
is your number 2? Are you done?
My number 2 for this year
Is
one of the... we broke this out. We played it, and I was like, this is why I love worker placement Euro games. This game tickled my brain. Right off the bat, I was like, oh, this game is awesome. I love this game. Empires, Age of Discovery.
Oh, we played it again. Yes. I didn't realize that was up high on your list.
It plays 2 to 6. We've played it from 2 to 6. It's got 2 different maps, but we played the one.
We like to colonize America. We're not
It's
pro
just-
colonization, though. We're not
have-
colonialists, but we do play games.
You
so.
have all those actions to choose from. You have all these little minis to use. You can.
It's awesome. It used to be Age of Empires 3, and then it was reskinned as when they lost the license to Discoveries. And it's very expensive, and it can kind of be hard to come by. But it's one of those games that if you get a chance to play it, you certainly should. It is an amazing Euro game. On to my number 1. As I mentioned last year, my last year number 1 was Game of Thrones. It dropped to my number 2. My number 1 this year, Gabi, if you would please.
Your number 1 this year, Gold West.
Nope. Brass.
Okay.
Brass was a game that I enjoyed for years.
Really, from 0 to number 1.
Well,
Wow.
no. Well, it was because of the reprint. I never got to
exist.
play it. I got in on the
understand.
Kickstarter for
Okay.
Lancaster and Birmingham.
I got you.
It's an excellent reprint. I never thought I'd have people that would actually like playing Brass because it was kind of a heavier game.
It's amazing.
You guys love
Like
it.
3 pounds.
We've played it and played it and played it. And I like Lancaster, whatever you want to call it, a little bit better
Lancashire.
than I do Birmingham. Either ones will do. If I had to pick one, there you go. It's very thanky. And here's what I like about it. And this is my last chance on my soapbox here. Brass has this neat element of not only having the money be very tight, that you have to plan several steps ahead. It punishes you for poor moves and it rewards you for good moves. But more so, when you react to other players, that's where the game of Brass becomes. You see that they're building certain industries that require coal. So you build coal so that they'll use your coal. When they use up all your coal off your coal mine, it flips and you get the points. You see that they're building railways up north. And so you end up building things up north. So maybe they'll connect your railways to the ports and you can ship certain items. It's about working, not only blocking your opponent, but at the same time utilizing their infrastructure
Yes.
to gain you points. And there's just so many ways, the player boards and the cards, and Lancashire has the new reprint has a 2-player board on the side back, and it's great. And the
So you're going Lancashire.
I'm going with
Birmingham. Okay,
Lancashire
gotcha,
over
gotcha.
Birmingham, and Lancashire is
Although they're very similar.
very
otherwise.
similar, but Lancashire is just such a great game. And it is a blanket recommendation from me. If you are a serious
I agree.
board gamer,
very good.
you should at least give Brass a try. Birmingham probably may be a little bit more accessible. Either one.
I mean, honestly, They're very identical, except one is ports, one is beer. I remember playing Birmingham first, and then we played Lancashire. It's got the 2-player board. Then we've played Birmingham again just recently. Brass is brass. Either way, it's an excellent game.
It's great. And it's my number one. And it's one of those games that I think will stick around for a long time. I don't see it. There's no other experience quite like it that is both.
That's
with
the deal.
Economy and
the games that are most volatile to me are experience type games.
Right.
They're going to be very volatile on a list, but games like that are worker placement, they don't excite you, but they're just such solid games. Are the same no matter what. They're going to be solids on your list throughout time.
And that's brass.
And that's why my number one is the same as it's always been, Viticulture.
Which was your number one last year.
It's my number one last year. It has not changed. I've soloed it. Me and Jerry have played it 2-player. We played it several other ways. I especially like solo games. I've played this game. I don't know. It's my number one played game of all time on BGG Stats.
Correct.
It's not a game where you're going to stand up and pump your fists and say, "Oh yeah," until it comes to the final scoring, maybe. But it's just you enjoy the process of planting your crops, harvesting your crops, getting your players. You don't know in game if what you got, if I'm going to be able to fulfill these orders, if he's going to block me. There are those little bit of contentious areas, but if you plan well, you know you're going to do what you want to do. And that's what Viticulture is to me. It's good. We've played it literally 1 to 6 players. It's good at all counts. I love it as much as solo as I do 6-player.
And the asterisk out there is with the Tuscany expansion.
With the Tuscany expansion.
Excellent.
I love that.
Which is primarily the Essential Edition now. Well, that's our clickbait episode.
That's it.
We're finally done with this top 10. We said we were going to do it. I'm glad that we did it. And now that it's over, next week, we'll be gearing up for BGG.
See, next week. So this will be out. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gearing up for BGG here soon. So
we'll try and have Enrique on the next one.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know about that kid. Anyways, follow us on Instagram. Thank you for listening. This is the Board
Leave us a review.
Snobs.
Email us.
A review.
BoardGameSnobs@gmail.
You can email us if you want to. I don't care.
Yeah, you do.
Whatever. Night. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.